Better Hit The Mat podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Better Hit The Mat podcast, allegedly a fitness podcast. I am Bozzy Bear, and I am joined as ever by my three compadres, Tom, Ryan, and Travis. I love doing it the wrong way around. I just do it in order, like I say. How are you, chaps?
Doing awesome, Boz.
Doing fantastic, Bozzy Bear.
Wow.
Yeah. I know you like to think you came up with the Bozzy Bear thing, whoever did. But sadly that happened in about 4 years into my podcasting career.
No, I think we pulled it from you because you said it was your grinder handle.
You did. So then we just picked up and ran with it.
Oh, okay. That's probably where it came from then. Fair enough.
And I've been writing it on bathroom walls all over the country.
Excellent. That was because we had a show. I was getting divorced, and my friends thought they'd help me out, and we did a thing where we sent Bitly URLs to each other and then loaded up the websites, and they were dating websites, and one of them was called darebears.com. So the handle they came up for me for that site was Bozzy Bear. So it's never gone away.
Love it.
Nice.
And that's how you met Lavinia, yeah?
yeah.
Yes.
Less said about that, the better. Right. So
I want Travis to sing that love song again.
All right, that's it. That's all you get. That's all you get.
One note.
Yeah.
Send your donations too. Yes, you might have noticed. I apologize if it's more echoey than I would like it on the audio, but I'm in a different house. I moved since we last recorded. God, it's been stressful. So I've got some soundproofing propped around, just sort of, but I'm going to do better for next time, I promise. So sorry for the
sound
sparse.
fantastic.
We got the mic plugged in, so that's good.
Yeah, it's like first thing. I got in trouble because I came in and I just set up my office, my recording stuff, my microphones, my lights, my soundproofing, and then just all the other boxes I just chucked in the other room so the video couldn't do anything. So I can't move. What have you done? Like,
Oh my God.
yeah, but my office looks great.
Looks wonderful.
She's carrying the couch up the stairs by herself. And you're just
Poor
like,
thing.
hold on. Got to get this all good.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I got to get the skull picture just right.
Yeah.
I love
Nice, isn't it?
it. It looks good. Looks good back there. I love
He needs a name. Send us an email. What should we name him?
it. Ooh.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
got ideas.
Excellent.
So we had, as ever, wicked good feedback. Like Narin was an absolute hoot last week. I always know when it's been a really good show is when I do the show, then I edit the show for hours, and then I'm such a control freak. I will always put it on in my van while I'm driving to work and listen to it to hear like audio stuff, and I just leave it playing and burst out laughing twice. Things she said. So really enjoyed that, and I believe we've had some good feedback.
Oh, she's such a good human.
That's what we're putting it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was writing the episode description, I'm like, I was struggling with like anything I could put up there that would like do it justice. So I was just like, no, fuck it. She's just too good to be here. So it's a good thing we booked her early, and that's just what I went with because that's kind of how I felt. She's absolutely brilliant. She's very good at DDPY. She's had a great transformation story. And her pop culture sense is just like off the charts on top of just, regular intelligence as well. It was
well, we've done quizzes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no kidding.
And either Ryan wins or she wins. Her and Flanders, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's going to explain
he's
to
right
me,
up there too.
Who's going to explain to me the cake is a lie? What?
Hey, before we get too deep, cheers, you bastards.
Oh, I forget every fucking week, honestly.
Yeah.
Raise the
Cheers.
chalices, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good to see you.
Yeah. So that's from a video game called Portal, and you are in a simulation, and you have to escape a simulation. And there's a very large computer, like robot that's basically controlling the simulation, and tells you that if you can escape the simulation, you'll be taken to freedom, and they also promise you cake.
Congratulations. The test is now over. All Aperture technologies remain safely operational. Make no further attempt to leave the testing area. Assume the party escort submission position or you will miss the party.
And as you get through the final level, you realize that the robot's actually going to kill you, and that no matter what you do, you can't get out. And if you continue down the path, you just die. But then there's a place where you can escape and get out of the simulation. And as you're getting through, you see other people that have tried to escape, and somebody has written on the wall, "The cake is a lie." And when you finally beat the game, when you properly beat it by not dying, you unlock an achievement called "The Cake is a Lie." And it just became like a kind of like an internet meme where it's like somebody makes a promise, and no matter what you do, it's not going to come true. So people say the cake is a lie. That's right.
If I could have made 100,000 independent guesses of what that meant, there is absolutely no chance that I would have figured that out. So I appreciate you telling me that, because
whatsoever.
That's awesome. Okay,
it's a brilliant game, absolutely brilliant game. It's you use a gun where you create a portal in one area, and then you create a portal in another area. You walk through it, and then you come out the other side. So you have to use momentum and physics, and
the physics are so
like
clever.
It's a trap room. And you'll spend hours potentially in a room if you don't bother looking it up. And then you finally figure it out, and it was just the simplest thing. And it's like, oh, I'm such a dumb fuck. But the sense of pride that you get from doing it, it's a brilliant, brilliant puzzle game. So,
and the AI, the voice of the computer AI is basically game famous. Some of the one-liners and the comedy, the way it's written is superb.
Rest assured that there is absolutely no chance of a dangerous equipment malfunction prior to your victory incandescence. Thank you for participating in this Aperture Science computer-aided enrichment activity.
Because I'm shit at gaming, famously, as we mentioned. I just got to a level and I rage quit and I never went back. But there's so much fun to be had with firing yourself through a portal.
And then continuously firing momentum. Yeah.
So imagine jumping off a 50-foot cliff down through a hole that you fire into the ground, and then you can fire a hole sideways into a wall. So with the same momentum you go through the hole in the floor, you then come flying out of the wall with the same momentum.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
genius.
extremely
fun.
Genius.
That's awesome. Good stuff. I love it.
Yes, so it was only fitting that we both came up with the cake is a lie right on the spot. Like it's
immediately, you guys had it right on top of them.
Yeah. So
cool.
yeah.
Whereas me, I will always go to Eddie Izzard. Apparently, that's just programming.
And much to Boz's dismay, people actually liked the wrestling talk, Boz. So maybe we should. You guys want to talk about some AEW this week? What do you?
I haven't watched the pay-per-view, so I don't want to. Actually, we're gonna watch it tonight.
Oh, okay. It was quite good. I honestly main event.
Oh, what happened? Oh, sorry.
I love it.
I hate it when that happens.
Wrestling sucks.
Fantastic.
That was perfect.
You forget I'm in fucking control here.
Perfect.
Awesome.
That's fine.
I wish we had set that up.
I
that
see
was
how
that
it
good.
is.
Wow.
I'm tearing this script up. We're going off. We're gonna do this shit live. All right,
Bozzy Bear
Boz.
Show now.
Fuck you. Let's go.
We're doing it live.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no. I mean, so there's good feedback from the wrestling talk. Lots of feedback. Apparently, Tom really enlightened a lot of people with his growler talk. I don't know if we need to feature stuff like that every week, but people seem to at least learn something.
100%.
People learn more from
I
your
did.
talk of growlers than they learned about carbs. What's that
Correct.
tell you?
It's all about educational content on this show. So it's from the level of being a 13-year-old, testosterone jacked up boy, or it could be a nerdy science guy talking about carbs. We're going to enlighten you guys. So that's what we're all about.
Well, I mean, if we go long enough.
No DDPY talk, though. It's just going to be about growlers and wrestling.
Sexual slang and a little bit of food nutrition that nobody.
Yeah, just a bit, just a touch.
I mean, if we do enough episodes, we're eventually going to run out of nutritional segments we can do. We can just have Tom Sex talk, and we could do like an advice line. And
I'm blown away. We're on episode 8. Like when you said that, I was like, "Oh my god, this is 8 already! It's gone by so quick." So
that will bring in tens of more viewers for sure.
Tens,
right.
maybe 15s.
Well, eventually
Hey.
Tom's nutrition segment is just going to be the ASMR, but it's just going to be him eating random stuff.
That's it. That's it.
And
One day
he'll
it's
read
gonna
the
be-
nutritional content of said things he's eating.
And he's gonna have to guess what it is based on the nutritional content and the crunch factor.
There you
Why
go.
can't we do that? That needs to be a thing. That would be
No,
amazing.
because nobody wants to hear mastication on a microphone. Trust me. It's-
Exactly.
It's
Except
the podcasting
100
rule number 1: don't eat on
Right.
mic.
100 million
Yeah.
people on YouTube would disagree with
I would
me.
say I'd be careful with that nobody. It just depends on what you look like doing it. That's the key.
During
So
quarantine,
there are
I was in some hard times trying to make some money. I was thinking about it. We were thinking.
Oh
all
yeah,
sorts of
there are
things
plenty
to do.
of there's a Twitch channel for everything, and there are thousands of those.
Oh, yeah.
So weird.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing. I mean, the fact that even exists just. I'm
Yeah.
too normal.
Yeah.
For the first time, I'm too normal to understand.
Yeah, like
Food-
it's not
food play.
fair to call things weird or to like define normal, but come on.
Don't kink shame me.
There you go. I was waiting.
And there goes all
yeah,
our
we do have a
ASMR
few-
viewers. They're all gone.
We
just
do,
big-
we do have a few reviews. Oh shit! Before we get to reviews,
Big news.
speaking
Big
of reviews, we got our first thumbs down.
Oh,
Oh.
was it on YouTube or what was
It
the?
was on
content?
YouTube, and that was definitely somebody in that shithole town of Moline, Illinois.
100%. I told you, man. I told you.
I'm just kidding. Moline's a fine city. I think that might be the home of the Turkey Testicle Festival. And if it's not there, it's somewhere else near there. But
Some
Yeah,
other
they,
shit town near there.
yeah, they fry up turkey balls and eat them. So
See, I
Oh,
said about
man.
food play. It's just don't go there.
I don't think there's much carbs to it. So
That's true.
Um,
I'm very
well, I
proud
would
of us
say-
for getting that final. I'm very proud of us though. It's taken a while.
finally made it.
Obviously, we finally did something right.
Nice.
Do us a favor though, whoever, because it's only one. I'm curious to know if that was a genuine "fuck you guys" thumb down, or was that Aaron Johnson, as we said it would probably be. So if you did the thumbs down, just even if you hate us, let us know. But
Yeah. Give us a little review.
if you do really hate us and gave us a thumbs down, I doubt you're watching this. So we're just curious. Let us know. But
True.
I don't know. Some people have that, love hate kind of deal. They just
That hate watch.
they can't help it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
Every time they're screaming, "Fuck you, Tom."
that'll open
I
the
bet-
floodgates now. Anyway.
Actually, I usually think it was Boz because all the wrestling talk. He just said wrestling sucks. Thumbs
Yes.
down.
I did.
Boom.
I got carried away. I put the title in as I got up and walked out of the room, and I thought, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste.
He unloaded 16 boxes that day, drank 3 bottles of wine, and gave us that thumbs down.
It was
He's
the
so mad
second.
about
It was the
it.
second spin that warranted that thumbs down. It's like I can't take it anymore.
From here, I guess we can actually we had some more letters. We even had a video submitted this week. So as usual, Travis, I gave you the easiest name to pronounce. So you want to go
Okay.
ahead and give that a read?
Yes, Dorothy Dodge Freitag. All right. I love this lady. She is in all of our classes. She's in Tom's and Boz's
Pronounce
class.
the G.
I did pronounce the G. Oh my God, what's wrong? This is not Travis. I'm a robot. All right, guys, here she goes. Dorothy Dodge Freitag, Bozzy Bear. But seriously, Darren Flanders, amazing. Somehow you weren't on my radar, but you are now. What a journey, and great to hear how you combine health, relationship, mothering, and work, and retain such a brilliant sense of humor. So much laughter and many lighthearted tales. Made my kitchen prep cleanup this evening so much easier. And the bad boys of BTTR. Watching and hearing you all enjoy rib and take the piss out of each other always makes me smile. Don't you want to do more than 10? Quite a time.
We said, but we're getting ready to wrap this up. Remember, we might get to 10.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a time commitment, I'm sure. I am sure I'm not alone saying thank you for putting these podcasts out there. Another great one. Thank you very much, Dorothy. That was awesome.
That was
And,
awesome.
I've had quite a few people saying that they like the longer podcasts as well. But Dorothy, she is in all of our classes. So she's awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome.
Dorothy sent me a fantastic T-shirt, and if I thought to bring it up here, I'd have it on hand to show you. But yeah, there's a German character on a T-shirt line out there that has a similar beard, and she said every time she sees him, I remind her of that. And she sent us that one and one for Lavinia as well. So she is a wonderful human being. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. So this review comes from Sam Abram. He is incredible. Literally one of the best start to finish transformations in the community.
Number one on the leaderboard too.
Yes,
he is.
Saying he's
Yes,
almost
he
always
is.
number one on the leaderboard.
Number one.
Like, that dude just goes after it. So he says, the G is silent. It was a rate show with a rate S. Even I knew who Aston was. Ud stuff, eyes. So I'll let you guys go ahead and translate that one out. But that must just be how they talk down under, I guess.
It might be. They don't have, where we don't pronounce the G, they don't have the G on the keyboard.
Yeah, they've got a 25 letter alphabet.
We're kind of distant cousins that way.
That's so cool.
I love Sam. Cheers, Sam.
Yes, he is.
Cheers.
Incredible. Cheers.
That was
And cheers, Dorothy. Yes.
Sorry, Miss Dorothy's cheers. There we go.
So, guys, we have a pretty salacious one here. I'm a little embarrassed to read this. It's a little on the naughty side. But so review. The only cake that I'm into is that beefcake, Bozzy Bear. And that was written by Dr. Tom Wallen.
Beefcake!
Oh, I love it.
You know, I get that you're a professional, but when you start to objectify my co-host, I kind of take offense, and I'm going to need you to dial that back next time. Or
I'm really
don't
considering
writing.
changing my name professionally because I can't continue to do both of these things at the same time.
So this Dr. Tom Wallen guy is he's our first he's your first stalker then of the podcast.
100%.
Oh, of this podcast.
Yeah.
You should go by Wom.
I'm sure you have many stalkers, Boz, but
I was going to say you've had another one on a previous podcast.
That'd be telling.
Ooh.
Tom, you can go by on this show. You should start going by Wom Talent. Just
100%. I love it. That's easy. Dr. Wom. Nutritional time with Dr. Wom.
Yeah, that'll sort out his SEO. That'll be fine.
That's really easy. Oh, I love it.
And we also had a video submission, which we love, from the one and only Matt Kilgore.
Hey, what's up, guys? So I just finished the podcast, and super awesome job. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, road tripping down to Texas right now, and I had to stop and just record a quick video saying Naren was great. I really thought that she hit on some really cool points about, you know, kind of what to do when you hit your goals and finding your why to keep going. So really great to kind of think about that. Loved all the Star Wars, Disney, and wrestling references this episode. Super hilarious. Lost my shit a couple times when Boz, you hit the red alert. That really cracked me up. So guys, keep it up. I can't wait till the next episode. It's really, really good stuff. Keep going. Maybe, I don't know, maybe think about Hooked on Phonics, some sort of program for Travis, because honestly the pronunciation is getting a little ridiculous. So maybe, you know, something to think about. GoFundMe, who knows. So keep it up, guys. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thank you.
And that was Matt Kilgore.
That's awesome. And eventually you guys are just going to make me turn heel.
We're trying.
I said before.
Good wrestling terminology. Well played.
I think I've said before, Matt is one of the coolest surnames ever, and it makes me think of a old computer game I used to love called Fatal Instinct, and there was a character called Fulgore. But I always thought his name should have been Kilgore because he had like Wolverine spikes and shit. It was really good.
Oh, yes. He's a cyborg.
My brain
That's
goes.
awesome.
We're just proving our nerdism here, aren't we?
Hey,
But also to just keep talking about him a second, Matt, if you haven't seen his transformation, he has had an awesome transformation, and he is absolutely killing it every day. His food prep, his positivity that he spreads throughout the community. He's one of the top ones out there, just killing it every day.
Oh yeah, and him and his wife tag team a lot of that too. Like she's been really integral in the whole thing, and he's working on. I think he chose like through October to like work on one move, and I think he wanted to work on Black Crow, and I think he started Black Crow at like 5 seconds is what he held on October 1st, and he worked on it every day, I think twice a day. And I think he held it for like a minute and a half at the back end of October.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. True commitment, like across the board. And some people that's what keeps him going. And I think that's maybe even why he referenced, with Naren, finding that reason to continue your journey. So because he could easily where he started and where he is now, he could easily just say all done and just kind of be done.
Right.
He's definitely trying to push it from there. So
Yep.
That's awesome.
Real quick before we bring on our guest, Boz, do you want to talk about something that happened in your life? You got something new going, yeah? Other than moving?
Yeah. All at the same time, moving house, everything else. I booked this course last lockdown because we're in lockdown again in the UK. Not that you'd know it out there. There's fucking people everywhere. But anyway, don't go there. I came across a yoga course, and it's not full yoga, but it complements DDPY so well. It's basically targeted flexibility training. So I booked on this course for November thinking, I've got nothing going on in November. Literally the week before we move house, this course is 25-hour course. Not the longest, but anyway. But I passed. So I will be offering different classes, and I'll be doing some combo classes that will be DDPY leading into, if you've heard of it, it's called gravity yoga. And the idea is you stay in poses for a long time, for a long time. And you just try and relax the body and get the parasympathetic nervous system to just calm down. And that allows the fascia to extend and just to give you better flexibility. And it works, trust me. So,
awesome, man.
Very cool.
And not only did
Congratulations,
you
brother.
pass, I believe you passed with honors. Like, they graded? What?
Thanks. No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really good stuff they've got there. And actually, they just send you these notes things that you guys saw, but they also send you an audio clip from your assessor. This nice lady graded my exam, and she's like, okay, starting off, really good this, really good. And she's complimenting me. I'm like, it's a shit sandwich. I've got a shit sandwich. Here we go. She's going to say how good this is. Then she's going to be, this was shite. And then at the end, say something nice about the positives that were there. Honestly, she pulled me on like two things, one of which it's an hour workout and you submit up to 20 minutes of it for grading. And one of the things she pulled me on, I actually covered 5 minutes after. So I was like, okay, cool. Boxes ticked. Thank you very much. So yeah, I think it's a good system, and I think it complements it well. So I'll be offering classes soon once I get my shit together after moving house. So,
Looking forward to that,
awesome,
Boz.
man.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
it's good fun.
Nice.
It's the most weird thing because you come from DDPY, so we have like, put lots of music and big energy, and then like, now we're going to go into this, and I'm going to put really chill music on. We're going to lower the lights. I'm going to lower my tone of voice. I'm going to instruct you at this level.
Ooh.
And we're going to go into these positions, and it's kind of like yoga, but you'll go into this position, and after about a minute and a half in this position, you'll be going, oh my God, this hurts. Get me out of it now. So it's peaceful torture, basically. It's the only way I can describe it. I'm selling it well, aren't I?
With the soft music, the low lights, and the soft voice, how are we supposed to do a lot of moves, with our pants being so tight? We're just, I don't know if we can handle it. So
Hot yoga at its finest.
that's right. Hot indeed.
Ooh.
Hot yoga is terrible.
Hot take. Hot take.
Take. Speaking of alternative yoga classes, in between our last class, a couple of us had some Halloween classes. I know
Yes.
it would be probably pretty cool to share some of those pictures because they were
Yes.
pretty insane. But so who won the contest in your class?
Kenny Dunn took first
Kenny
place.
Dunn.
He
And
was
he was dressed as Macho Man, right?
Macho Man.
Yeah,
That was
that
impressive.
Awesome.
Susan McKinnon,
Macho Man.
she was a Cyndi Lauper.
Ah, that's a good one too.
Yeah. And Jamie Bartley. And what was Jamie? She slipped my mind for some reason. I'll have to look that up while we're
Yeah, I have to look it up
come
now.
back to it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures.
But
Sorry,
it was crazy. We had about 24 people show up. This Zoom thing is crazy, but yeah, it was pretty wild. We had some awesome costumes. We had we had a Carol Baskins.
Saw that one.
We had a couple of Travis Mahaffey's.
Just a couple
in there.
Travises. A little more handsome than the real thing. Who would have thought?
A little more handsome, sounded a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Talk a whole lot better. I mean, it was
That was
Pronounce
great.
the G's.
What was really funny is, okay, so Kristen, it was the tag team workout between Kristen and Trav, and she was trying to do her best Travis. She was dressed as Travis, and she just kept saying, "Okay, fam, all right, fam, fam, fam," and trying to really rib him. And then as she got deeper into her workout, she realized that every time she had to replace y'all, she would just say fam. She goes, "Oh my gosh, I guess I say y'all a lot, don't I?"
exactly.
So
While she's taking the piss out of me, I'm like, yeah, that was really a y'all.
What? Right. Every single time. It's just like, oh no.
Exactly.
It was good,
so good. I
There's
missed
a
that.
lot of people.
It was.
Yeah.
So a couple
How
nights
was,
before that, you guys
yeah.
did the family version of it. We summoned some demons from hell. So I'm sure there's going to be a picture of Sarah Fortune.
Oh, yes.
Insane. She was covered in blood.
I know, not a picture. I think there has to be video of her
There's going to
Thriller.
be some video of this. She had a towel that she pulled out to towel off, covered in blood. She was in a full demon outfit. She just recently, wait till you guys see the backdrop of our new workouts. She went to Spirit Halloween, those Halloween stores, and they have those big giant displays of like castles and demons and all this stuff. She bought the entire store.
No way.
100%. So she now has literally a haunted house on the inside of her house. So her new background is an altar with flames, real flames that are shooting all the
dragons,
time.
right?
It's insane. It was the craziest thing in the world. There was skulls everywhere, but she brought, you'll see the set from the Halloween show. There was dismembered bodies all over the place. Her intestines were hanging out. It was just insane. I came home that day. I had to just quick turn around. So I just dressed like DDP. I just put knee sleeves on, sleeveless shirt and a headband. And Heather comes out, and you'll see pictures of Heather too, fully dressed as that nun from the movie The Nun.
Yeah.
Spent her all afternoon putting the makeup on, and about 15 minutes of workout, she's like, how do I towel myself off? I'm like, you can't, girl. So she's sweating through everything.
Sweat through the makeup.
It was
Jamie was Carol Baskins.
That's the same. Yeah,
okay.
she was Carol Baskins.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And we had Tina was Pat Benatar. I mean, it was so fun. Lily was dressed up as a warrior. I'll tell you what, Ryan, yours was crazy.
With the gray hair
The
and
socks. The socks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know how you work out in those stupid socks, man. I can't do it. You guys give me a hard time with shoes. At least I don't lose grip. No way.
I really wanted to do that workout, but literally
I did my hair white too, and I was so deathly afraid that it was just going to stay in. I'm losing it. I don't need it to go white also. And thankfully it came out really, really well. But then, like, I don't know. I think my wife was into it. So
yeah,
must be why she's got your picture framed on the bedside table. I don't know.
There's a reason he goes everywhere with a stick. He has to beat them off.
Was there a couple of fams at 2 o'clock in the morning?
He does
okay,
beat
fam.
Everywhere he goes.
A couple of fams at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, fam.
That's right. Hey.
Oh, fam.
LL Cool T. Ladies love Cool Travis.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to go ahead and bring on our guest then? Trav, you want to go ahead and do the intro?
Yeah, sure. This week's guest is definitely an amazing person who sheds so much positivity throughout the community. I personally enjoy seeing her name pop up in every one of my classes. Please welcome Abi Evans.
Woo!
Abby.
Woo! Welcome, Abi. Cheers.
Abby beverage.
Cheers, Abby.
Oh, there we go. Cheers.
Came prepared.
Is that a Copperberg?
Nice.
I wish it was. No, it's just water with berries.
Oh,
Oh, sounds delicious.
I've got my usual low carb wine, so yeah,
Nice.
it's a thing.
I have my low carb H2O today.
Really?
Yes. No Stella today.
Oh, we were going to do a bit on that,
Yeah.
weren't we?
There's still
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. 2 more episodes left.
That's it.
Two more.
Time's ticking. Time's ticking. 8
No,
down,
that's
2
awesome.
to go.
So, full disclosure, when we first started this podcast, or kind of the idea of this podcast, we put together a list of people who wanted to target. And you know, you obviously had your big hitters in the communities, Vance and you know, even Sarah was like really high up on that list. But both Travis and Tom came to the conversation with your name. And they're like, you guys, you have to include her. And both Boz and I are like, who? Like, we didn't know. And you are a bit quieter in the community, but you then, after we had booked you, you sent us a video, and it was like instantaneous. I fell in love, Boz fell in love, and like we've been really, really anticipating this conversation. I think your voice is fantastic, so Boz is probably going to ask you to do all future recordings anytime we need something dubbed.
Yeah.
Voiceovers.
And it's another
Yes,
fellow
you're-
Brit, which I'm very happy about, of course. So
Yes,
not out
and exactly,
Well,
and then exactly, he's excited to have it. That's 2 in a row. Look at that. We're getting hella international.
That's
So,
right.
But at least for a majority of this conversation, I'm gonna let, because I know you do a lot of workouts with both Travis and Tom, so I'm gonna let them drive the conversation a little bit, and then I'll just do my best to make fun of Travis. So
Yeah, as always. We just can keep that continued every week, every now and then with jab it in.
that's right.
But Abby, definitely welcome. But as always, how we normally get started, we want to just get you to basically tell us how you came about DDPY and what made you kind of get involved with the community. So tell us how you found it first, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, that was totally weird. So I am English, and I've never watched American wrestling or anything like that. But I was trying to improve my health. I've been on a bit of a journey over the last few years. I've been through a huge amount of stress, and I wanted to improve my health generally. And I really found DDP whilst on that journey. I just came across it almost by accident. That's the amazing thing, just meant to be. And had no idea who DDP was, but just loved the positivity and interactions going on. And the real takeoff for me was when I got sick because of COVID. I'd been working in an environment where there was a lot of COVID going around, and then I just got really, really sick. And but I'd had a health history before then that included having had septicemia because my gallbladder was completely ruined. So I had literally, when I came to DDP, I had no fitness, no core strength at all. And then I got sick, right? I was the worst scenario, like 49 pounds overweight and no core strength with the horrible lung condition that you get with COVID. So I was really sick, and I literally, so before I got sick, if I dropped a pencil on the floor and went down to the floor to get it, I would have needed help or something to hold on to get me off the floor. And then I got sick to the point that, I was so ill that I was out of breath just being alive. And I was so ill, I couldn't make it from my bed to the bathroom without help.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty grim. So mentally, I decided that I should charge myself up with a bit more positivity. And I think that's really how I came across people like you, Travis, and Thomas, and other people. Like, I didn't know that what you were doing for lockdown. So, so I was really sick in bed. There was nothing I could do. I felt like, and so I started to connect with the community more. I'm really, really camera shy, and I'm really not really into social media. So I hear what you're saying about me not seeming so active, but there was something about the vibe of what was going on. So 2 things I did. Mentally, I felt that the battle was more, but I couldn't do a lot physically until my body kicked in, but the battle was mentally to get better. So I started listening to DDP's Positively Unstoppable. I got it on Audible books. And I just listened to that all night because I couldn't sleep. People talk about feeling really sleepy with COVID. And I think in the mild case, I'm sure in the early days or the later days, you might feel that way. But I literally could not sleep. And if I was to get any rest, I had to be at a very strange angle on my front, leaning to one side. So maybe I had one lung better than the other. I don't know, but that seemed to help.
I believe that's what they say is good for COVID. They, put you over on your stomach and then have you breathe down because it helps drain.
It's the only way I could sleep at all. And it would be for like half an hour or an hour. And then I would come to and be uncomfortable again. So I just literally listened to that book all night, and such a change happened in me. And then I realized that you guys were doing live workouts, and I couldn't do them in that state, but I started to tune into them. And Travis, you were doing stuff outside, and just because I wasn't well enough to be out in nature, it's a bit of a thing for me. I like connecting to being out in outdoor spaces. So that really helped me. And then gradually...
he'd roll a mat out 15 minutes before his workout, and you would just have 15 minutes of birds tweeting and the world waking up. And we got it about 11 o'clock in the morning. It was just like...
Yeah, it was perfect for me. It was absolutely perfect. And then started to realize what amazing communities were within this greater DDP community, which was all the class communities. And the positivity, I've just never seen anything like it. I swear I could go on a positivity site and not find so much support. And then obviously I needed to start from scratch. So I started with the DDP program. I started with the bed flex. And but I would join in with whatever Travis was doing that I possibly could at that time. If that was breathing, that was an effort at that point. But, that's what I did. And then gradually the two things would start to link up. So I went all the way through bed flex, then the chair, and then sort of standing, holding the chair, and then standing. That felt scary. And it was very, very gradual. But meanwhile, I was able to join in with more and more of things like wakey stretchy. And it was amazing, really. And I started to gain a kind of confidence to try. And I think there's something about this community where people admit when they're having a tough time. They celebrate what's going well. They fess up when it's not going well. And we all celebrate the tiniest breakthrough that someone has, because it doesn't feel tiny to us because we know what that's like. Yeah. And I'll never forget. I mean, I think, and probably other people maybe saw it, I don't know, but there was a light bulb moment where I suddenly thought, I can do things that I didn't think I'd ever do again. And I can remember the first time I just literally got out of bed. And I'd love to tell you this was all COVID, but it wasn't. It was like years of poor health. And so the connection between what I was eating and drinking, I made a promise to myself. This is what happened. My worst night, my saturation levels went below a certain percentage that I didn't like. And I literally knew...
saturation, yeah?
Yeah, oxygen saturation, yeah. And I knew that it was a pretty make or break night. And so I didn't say it out loud, but I almost shouted it to myself. If I make it through this night, my health will become the priority every day. And I've kept to that every day since. So that means that, and it's never been the case for me, I am the sort of person who survived life by my wits, I suppose, by thinking quickly. And that's been helpful in some ways, and in other ways not, because in order to do that, you kind of live a bit in your head, and you don't always notice when you've reached your physical limits or you're not caring for yourself. So this was a major breakthrough for me to even say something like that, even if it was inside. Otherwise, I'd have just been coughing, probably. So that was my turning point, and that's how committed I got. So it didn't matter whether I could do the classes. I was probably doing 3 or 4 classes a day to connect with people who weren't coughing their guts up and to start to build that core strength. Because I think probably being in such a mess made me realize what a difference having strength would have made to that situation. And I had a period of time feeling really frustrated with myself that I'd let myself get to that point, but really celebrating that this was a new chance. And when I made it through that night, and I was awake for most of that night and listening to DDP's book, I thought, right, this is it. I've said it. Now I have to actually put the action in. And the difference was amazing. My attitude to everything changed. I'd love to tell everyone it was an instant fix. It wasn't, but I would go to give up and find myself revisiting that moment. And everyone else just made that easy for me, because everyone else has this positive mindset and is willing you to make progress. There just isn't any snobbery within this. And I don't know what other people's experience of gyms are, but you can get a kind of snobbery from people. And that's not the kind of person I am or aspire to be. But I do aspire to be like most of the people I've been in classes with. They inspire me. So yeah, just the realness being served up on a daily basis and seeing people turn up to either teach when they're sore and having their problems and keeping going, or hearing from people who are really struggling, and the opportunity to encourage them as well has really helped. So far I've lost, well, you know how it is with weight, it comes and goes, and weight isn't the goal. The goal is health, right? And it's the whole package. But I have lost 52 pounds so far.
Nice.
Incredible.
Insane. Well done.
I've had blips, I've messed up, I've thought, oh, I'm okay with this, and I'm not. You know, you find foods. Thank you. I'm gonna join
Yes,
that.
cheers to that, for sure.
Well
But,
done.
it's been such a journey. And I've probably got about another 43 to 45 to go. I'm just going to listen to my body on that. But the difference in my muscle mass is amazing, and the difference in my life. The first day that I had built enough core to just stand up from my bed was amazing. And I'd love to tell you that was because of COVID, but it wasn't. Before I had COVID, I had really two positions, which was sat supported by a chair or lying down. So my core changed so quickly within, I don't know, probably between bed flex and the point where I could join in with most of Travis's classes. The difference then went from me not being able to, I used to have to rock and grab something to stand up. And I just literally, I remember my son coming in and saying, oh, could you just help me with this? And I just leapt up. And then I was just like, did I just do that? And I don't know if Travis remembers this, but I remember like commenting that I'd managed to hold a plank for more than like 1 second and not fall flat on my face. And that was incredible. Each tiny step has mattered to me, and I still celebrate those moments now. They don't make me want to go backwards. They remind me of the key thing to going forwards, which is it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fall flat on your face. It's the trying, because I know there's lots of sayings about this, but there isn't a day where I don't fail to try. I might fail trying, but I don't fail to try.
There you go.
That's what matters, I guess. And all of that has affected me mentally, physically, in what I eat, what I take into my body, what I even tolerate, and so differently. And the personalities of people, like if you would have said I would have enjoyed the kind of banter, I would never have believed you, but I have. It's amazing. It's like, yeah, people I could never have connected to in any other way have made a difference to my life every day. People who are not having such a great time, but share honestly and find that support mean everything. And I can't even believe. So now I can run upstairs, I can jog, which is crazy.
Nice.
My knees don't hurt. My ankles don't hurt. The muscles in my feet, thank you very much. Be Unstoppable Athletics and Shamrock Nation classes have done that for me. You can see muscle definition in my feet that I haven't had. I used to dance when I was younger, and I used to have that, but it's all those kind of like exercises we do, even downward dog, that add to that. And it's insane. And so that's made a difference because I had, like, it's going to sound very boring, but I had insteps that were falling in and they're starting to build up now. So that makes a difference to what you can wear, what you can do, and how long you can exercise for, right? So without hurting yourself. So yeah, my life, my stamina, my concentration, and mental resilience. I don't want to go into my boring past, but I have had a history of post-traumatic stress, and my mental resilience is off the scale. It grows. The more my fitness journey grows, the more that mental resilience grows. And no judgment on anyone. Like, I don't happen to drink. There's a history of alcoholism in my family, and I made a decision a long time ago that just wasn't going to be for me, because it goes back through the generations to quite drastic outcomes. So I cannot believe the natural highs I have got from very simple classes. I wish I could say when I ran my first marathon, but I'm not there yet. But like by the end of even something a bit more relaxed, like wakey stretchy, I come out of that with a glow and an attitude on life that just adds to my own personal rays of sunshine. And anyone who knows me will tell you that I love to encourage other people and that I am very positive in the face of adversity. But this has helped me no end, because sometimes you do that hanging by dental floss, right? It's kind of like, I don't know, some people would call it faith or optimism, right? But now it comes from a place of reality, because when I tell someone else that I believe in them and they can do hard things, I'm coming from a place of my own genuine journey. And
Awesome.
A lot of my friends have increased their fitness journey because of that.
As well as your son, right? Your son's joining you now on DDPY, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
He's my son. He's on the autistic spectrum. So it's quite hard for him to adapt to something new. So that's been a great way. He would probably never have come to the gym with me without a huge amount of work. But of course, the gym comes to us here. And I mean, people tease me, but I have a yoga mat by my bed to remind me every day of that night when I promised myself that my health would be my priority.
Nice.
We've
Who's
also
teasing
got... Oh, my friends, they just can't believe that I'm connected.
Can you get their name and number for us, please?
In
Yeah,
America.
name and number. We'll get a hold of them.
But they can't
We'll
believe
have
I'm
Dallas
connected
send them a
with people
cameo.
in America. It's an English thing, right? They tease me because, I'm connected with people in America, and they just don't picture me like connecting to people that like being interested in DDP, because they don't even know who he is, right? So they're like, what? But like,
you didn't know you were talking to him. You've been talking to him but this is him.
It's like is that, Boz, would that be the British equivalent of I have a girlfriend but she lives in Canada? No, I promise. It's a really big deal in America.
Yeah. Actually, to tell you something about that, when you get the chance to meet Dallas, I was second workshop I ever went to. We were standing in the queue to meet him at the end, as you do. And they had these championship wrestling belt there. I don't know which organization.
The big gold belt, man. Put some respect.
Yeah, whatever. The big, yeah. And Hayden was queuing everyone up, and he's like, okay, so I was there with Lavinia, and he's like, which one of you wants the belt? And I'm like, is it really bad if neither of us have the belt? Because we kind of don't care. And he said, no, tell him that when you talk to him, because he loves it when people know who he is, not because of wrestling, but because of DDPY. And of course, we didn't say that because we were just like, but
yeah, for somebody like your son, if he ever got to meet him, he'd be like, hey, I grew up doing yoga with you. Not, I grew up watching you wrestle.
I love your dynamic resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
Your entire Stand Strong series? Whoa, best work you've done. Incredible.
And I think that's the difference, is that the whole dynamic resistance element of everything makes such a difference. The variety that that Thomas and Travis in particular, because I happen to have been to your classes, have brought, I don't know how to put it. I never know exactly what we'll end up doing, and that's exciting. You know, like I've learned so much about things that I can do that I didn't think I could, especially some of the more lively classes. I thought, well, I'm never going to make it through that class. You know, I've laughed and thought I'll start, but I don't know if I'll finish. But like, it's amazing what you can do and how you learn, and it's affected any other fitness things I'm doing, because I've started to realize that the starting is really, really important. And also just being where you're at. And I think COVID probably did me that favor, because I'm probably that sort of person who would make a resolution to improve their health, start going to the gym every day, freak out and stop.
Been there.
Yeah. And now
common story.
So this isn't a healthy habit for me. It's a way of life.
Hey, just before you go, Travis, I did hear there's also some other classes that have similar offerings.
Yeah, for real. Like you keep mentioning these two Travis and Tom guys. Are you not aware of the best DDP yoga instructor, not affiliated with the app, literally lives like 6 minutes from you?
Who's way closer to
you. Works, right? You guys are like in one little spot.
I mean, you're practically cousins. I mean, you live right around the corner.
That was shameless. Sorry. Carry on.
Travis, I have a question for you.
Hey, well-deserved anyway, Boz. You've passed on a few episodes of not throwing your info out there, so well-deserved. It's
true. Not a shameless self-promoter like this guy. Travis, let's pretend Abby's not in the room right now. Have you ever seen Abby not have a smile on her face?
No.
So I've had a serious conversation. Abby, we've talked before. We've had some serious conversations about every single aspect of your life. I have never once seen you without that smile on your face. And that is your most, to me, that's your most endearing quality, is that when you talk about being positive, you talk about the changes that happen. Some people can bullshit you. They can say it. And I mean, we all see it. Everybody that's watching this podcast is going to feel this. And this is kind of the most exciting thing about this episode is, I mean, it just radiates from every single aspect of you. And I just want you to know, in case you don't know that, the rest of the world is going to know. It's an awesome feeling, man. I am so inspired. It's so cool.
And by the rest of the world, he means all 10 of us, people that's going to watch this.
And Graham Vinook.
They're going to know that. They're going to know it. That's all that matters.
No, for sure.
Before we stray too far, Abby, you keep mentioning you have listened to that audiobook so many times, and being that you don't have any background with Dallas whatsoever, what do you think of the narrator? Because it's always a topic of discussion on the DDP Yoga group. Because if you know anything about Dallas and the way he approaches and tells his story, and then you fire up that book, it's like, for me, it's like, who the hell is this guy?
Don't just think it, ink it.
Nothing like him. Nothing like him at all.
Yeah, it's so hard to get over, and it's so funny because everybody's like, hey, look what I just bought on Audible, and they'll get a screenshot, and like I would say 9 out of 10 comments are like, oh, what a shit narrator.
I feel bad for that guy. I do. I feel genuinely bad for the guy, but I slowed it down a little bit to get a
somebody else said if you
voice.
speed it up, it's better because then you don't have to listen to him as long.
All my audiobooks I do 2x because then you can listen to them twice as fast and get through more audiobooks. And that's what I did on that. And it didn't sound as like crazy and weird and yo, bro. It was so weird.
It's so funny when he gets into the wrestling talk because it's like you can tell he has no idea what he's reading, and there's no emphasis on anything. And oh god, it's just incredible. Just the worst.
It's good job the content's good, eh?
Amen.
Yeah,
There
The
you go.
content is amazing. The content is amazing. And when I was so sick, that was really, I wasn't in a place where I would have been able to actually read the book. So the Audible thing is great. I've got used to the guy. I'm kind of over it, but no, it doesn't have the motivation factor. I'll tell you how helpful the instructors that I've listened to's voices are, but particularly DDP. I literally, if I'm going for a walk or a jog, I still listen to a class in my headphones because it always makes me finish what I've started, even though I'm not doing what the class is. And I think that's because I have so many positive associations with those classes and all those instructors. So it's like, it makes such a difference. Yeah. So,
That's awesome.
but his voice, I mean, there isn't ever going to be anyone that could replace DDP. He's an entity. He's an energy in his own right. He's like a ball of energy. If you
Yes.
haven't got motivation to do something, I literally, I don't very often have a negative day, but if I'm questioning whether I should like make the effort, I can literally hear him calling me out if I was like,
You say you can, or you say you
giving
can't.
myself
You're right.
Don't just think it, ink it.
excuses.
Yo,
Yeah,
monkey,
that's right.
hit the mat.
And also, too, just to reiterate what Boz said, when you meet him, if you're getting now out of recording programs, if you're getting that out of it now, wait till you stand face to face with him. It's amazing, and I'm telling you, it is amazing.
Just so you know, when you stand face to face with him, it looks something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's super funny you mentioned listening to the workouts. When I was first into doing the workouts off the DVDs and everything else, I ripped the audio and turned them into MP3s. That way, like if I'm out on the road, I didn't have to have a good internet connection. I could just roll out my mat and listen to the cues, and that's super nice and really convenient until you go to a party and then you have it on shuffle. And party music's going, and all of a sudden you and then it goes into Red Hot Core, and people are like, "What the fuck is this?" It's like, you guys don't want to do a workout.
And here's the real fun fact: everybody at the party does Red Hot Core.
Jump down
to
a
do
mat.
Red Hot Core.
Hey, at least it doesn't start with the end music. Don't get me started on that. Anyway,
Oh
carry on.
God, that country song. What is going on there?
No, that's no. It's Christian rock, surely.
Christian rock.
Is
I've
it
heard
really?
it. So I used
gotta
to go
be.
to a church. It's a 100% association. So I used to go to this church, a non-denominational church. It was one of those like rock star churches. At the end of the church service, they played that, and I was ready to be like, "Bang!" The association I had with that song.
I totally called it then.
It's
Because
a
like the
generic,
first time I heard it, I went
100%.
Christian rock.
There's a couple YouTube
there's
videos too with that on it.
Yeah. I think they actually have it like it's a lot louder on one of the original videos, like where you can, and they play it like all the way through. And actually, there's one of Hayden's workouts. You can actually pick up all the Guns N' Roses he's listening to during his live workout if you're listening in headphones on 827 or something like that. Yeah, every single time I'm working, I hear, "Do you know where you are?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Hayden, this is way better than that shit." Yep.
Yeah, that's a fairly typical Hayden playlist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's going to be Maiden, Guns N' Roses, some of that shitty AC/DC. That's right, Jake.
Foo Fighters. Yeah.
Well, as well as living as feeling the energy throughout the community and the positivity of the book, living in the 90-10, finding your self-worth again and finding a way to hold your head high and your shoulders back. And starting your own company. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that kind of came out of all this. So the extra thing for my health, I am always, every day, if you want to imagine, like, I don't really want you to imagine what I'm thinking about, but I'm probably thinking about how to improve my health. So I came across, I don't even know how, but I connected to essential oils, which I'm not that sort of person, but like I did, and discovered that I could use those to help my little journey. And so because they worked for me, I've started to build a company using, essential oils. So it's just, well, obviously I'm in the first year of the business, so it's very early days, but at the very worst scenario, I get to share the benefits of essential oils and healthy lifestyle with people. And on the best days, I've got some great customers who I love to connect to, and they seem to give a lot of positive feedback. I'm quite happy to share samples with people with no pressure whatsoever, because I don't have targets, because I work in partnership with doTERRA, which is an essential oil company. So I don't have any targets or pressure on me. I don't have like stock in my house that will go off by a certain date. So I get to share them. I've met some amazing people. Some of those people I've actually mentioned my little health journey to, and introduced them to DDP and the classes I've been connecting to. So I've got a friend. I think this would be good for comparison. Is my friend has a Peloton bike, and she's been on a kind of health journey too, and she uses their yoga, but she often sends me messages. She lives actually in South Carolina, and she sends me little videos when she's been doing her yoga. And she said to me about her yoga, she said, I kind of feel calm and happy afterwards. She said, but you glow. It's true, because her yoga doesn't include dynamic resistance. It doesn't include the community that I have. And she comes away very, I suppose, inward. And I come away buzzed, ready to hit the day. And that's where she's at. And, I joked when you were asking about, catchphrases for things, like better not eat that. But like, the truth is, this carries on through my day. That sets me up. If, when I've done my classes in the morning, and I get to what I'm going to eat or what I'm going to do or how I'm going to live my day, that sets the tone for my day. Whereas hers is all like inward, and she doesn't have that same experience that I have, and by her own admission. So like, it's so interesting because she's paying a fortune for her Peloton bike, a fortune for the monthly fees for these classes. And I come away with amazing value, I guess. And I've got to tell you that I've been through a really stressful time for lots of reasons outside of my control for the last year. And that would have triggered really bad PTSD symptoms. I'll tell you how bad it was once. I went to the DIY store, and you know how they have those really tall shelves? I stepped back to look at the shelf higher, and I'm not blessed with height. And I bumped into someone, and the shock of that sent me home, and I hid in my house for 2 weeks. Just the shock of banging into someone. So to say I have had PTSD, it was bad. And there is something about this form of exercise, this community, that has gone away. And my problem was particularly, this is not an anti-men thing, but it was particularly with men. So when I told my friends the kind of people I was connecting with, it's just like, but like, they couldn't believe it, because like, that's literally what I used to be like. And so, like, it's amazing how you start something because you think, oh, I've had COVID, I've got to look after my health now. And people get obsessed with a particular weight or particular type of diet or something like that. And I feel like the difference here, especially with conversations about lifestyle with people online, has been that there isn't one way, there isn't one size fits all. We can all just be ourselves and be on a journey together. And if some of us need to take a longer route, that's okay, but it's just staying with it. I mean, this broadcast is called Better Hit the Mat. Well, if more people hit the mat every day, the health of our nations would improve. I have no doubt. I've seen my health and resilience go up. I've been working in really stressful circumstances and near a lot of sick people in the last few months. And I have not got sick, which is amazing.
Yes.
I haven't. I'm trying to think how many years it's been. 3, 4 since I started DDPY. I haven't had a cold in that whole time, let alone flu, let alone a stomach bug. I've literally not had a single day off work.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I've theorized about this a lot with DDPY, and obviously no one's going to do a peer-reviewed study or whatever. But you look at the success stories and the amount of autoimmune stuff that it seems to help with, and other conditions, not just weight loss and joint related. I am convinced it's to do with the spinal flexibility and the flow, the lymph fluids moving more. It just something about it really supports the immune system massively. I would love someone to study it, but I'm convinced there's something to that.
I work out twice a day. I'm in an 850-day streak, and I get sick all the time. So, sorry.
Genetic lottery. I don't know, but I used to get one or two.
You got a couple of
For
petri
real.
dishes at home.
Let's say I've got
That's
between.
true.
Well, I mean, my wife works in the medical industry. My, I travel for work. I'm in and out of factories all day. Kids are in school or around other kids, and you talk about genetics. My brother Nate is literally allergic to anything that comes from an egg. So fish, chicken, shrimp, turkey, or not shrimp. Excuse me. That's a shellfish, so he can eat those. But if it's got egg in it, mayo, when we were kids, we couldn't have ranch dressing because it used to be made with eggs. He was allergic to grass, orange juice. He was doing therapy to break himself of allergies, and where they put that tack strip on your back and they hit you. They hit him with cat dander, and it killed him for 4 minutes. 4 minutes, he died. His heart stopped. He was rushed from the physician's office to the doctor. So yeah, you're not wrong, man. My whole family is just wrecked with it. So I think obviously there's genetic disposition when it comes to your health as well. That some factors you just can't control. So, yeah, but I do agree with you. There was a time where getting sick would knock me on my ass for weeks, and now you'll just see me post like, only did an active recovery workout today because I feel under the weather. And it's a slow flow, and the breathing might not be on point, but 2 days, 3 days later, you're feeling better. Whereas before, it might have been a 10-day period. So, yeah, absolutely.
And I would always get a seasonal change cold, pretty much like winter to spring, and then autumn to winter. About that time, I would get a cold, and sometimes it would put me in bed, stuffed up nose for weeks. I'd get coughs. Literally, I can't remember the last time I didn't feel like completely fine in that respect. I mean, obviously, other things. Fucking messed up, but yeah.
Keep breaking your foot.
Oz, I'm going to add one more perspective on this. I think oxygenation of our tissues is really, really important. And this is something that doing these type of workouts, it's intentional, which no other time in my life, I can ask you guys the same thing. I don't know if you guys have ever intentionally breathed before, but this is the first time of my fitness career, 3 years of doing DDPY. I've never intentionally before that really, really focused on breathing, pulling oxygen and taking it out. I think that has a huge, huge aspect to it as well. Again, I don't know the science behind that. I don't know if that's absolutely true, but I can tell of changes I've seen in my body. That's definitely one of them for sure. I've seen that with anxiety and stress levels too. There's times where, you have those normal anxiety days, literally breathing can make a big difference. There is studies that show that is, a factor. So,
well, you can get certified in breathing. Just yoga breathing is a course you can do. It's like, really? Yeah. But there's like 3 ways to do it.
They're bringing that. They're bringing that into schools here in the U.S. for some kids have ADHD and things like that, and not learning disabilities, but people that are maybe like problem children. A lot of times they're sitting them down, doing breathing exercises, and they're noticing that their behavior is changing, which is interesting thought. So might be something to it. Yeah,
it definitely works. My sister had an episode, and she was having a panic attack, and I think within 6 to 7 deep breaths, I had her diaphragmatic breathing. She had literally come back down. She went from 0 to 10 and then came back down.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How'd you say that again?
What?
What did I miss?
What did I miss?
Hooked on phonics.
I said 0 to 10 and then back down.
No, the diet. Don't worry. I'm being an asshole.
Oh, okay.
Diaphragm. Oh, good.
Yes. And, you know, I'm a first responder at work, and every time we've had any kind of catastrophic accidents, I've had one. I think during Boz's class, actually, somebody broke their arm, and I literally the HR rep knocks on the door, and they're like, "Hey, are you busy?" I'm like, "In the workout."
Oh no,
I'm like, their arm.
fucking hell! How did I miss someone breaking their arm in one of my workouts?
Yeah. So I have to run to the floor, but the first thing I apply is deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, then deep breath in, count it back, 3, 2, 1, deep breath in. This is literally the same intro we do for every L1, all the way up to 5, all the way up to 10, come back down to 5, to 3, to 0, and until those paramedics arrive, that's all we do. And I promise you, when they come and they take the latest one we did, they took the blood pressure of the person injured, and they're like, the blood pressure's great. It's like, good, yeah, because they're under control. Like if you can control your breath, you control your life, no matter what situation you're in. So there's a reason it's such a big part of having a child. You know, the birth.
I've even mentioned that to some students. If you don't get anything else out of DDPY, what I teach, the breathing is the most important aspect of it.
Lavinia had a bike accident a few years ago. Her brakes failed on her bike, and the back of a car. And of course, we don't take anything seriously. So she's in hospital in a neck brace and a thing because they don't want her to move her spine at all. And I'm like, all right, do some breathing stuff because I can see your oxygen sats, and they're a bit like, see if we can get it to 100%. Come on, let's go. So just do like control whiskey breathing.
Strap a wahoo to her chest. Let's get one in.
Yeah. They were just like, well, I got your heart rate. Your heart rate's good. I said, let's play around with the stats a bit. Hold your breath. And I'm taking selfies next to her. I'm going to put one up here, actually.
Next thing you know, he's being escorted out of the room.
Imagine being that doctor walking in the room and seeing these two goofballs doing that shit.
I knew she was fine. She did DDP yoga. She hit the car, like, did the 2 grand's worth of damage. She's fine. Yeah. Just in the back of the car.
Hey, also too, Abby, you mentioned that you are showing a little bit of interest, possibly in maybe becoming an instructor in the future.
Yeah, that's my goal. So
yes,
it feels like when I say that, like even you saying that, I think, oh my gosh, I can't do that, but I can, because I can do things that I didn't think I could do. Like I can run upstairs, I can stand up, I can plank at a level I never thought I would. Because when I did 1 second planking, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And the goals that I've met so far, I have hopes that I can do things physically that I'd kind of thought, well, I'll never do that. Like I'm just too old to learn new tricks, but clearly not is all I can say. Muscle, I think training your muscles in any way, training your breathing, all of that affects everything in your life. And why not? That's my next little big goal, I guess. I'm hoping that as my business builds, I'll be able to save money, because I'm not doing the business to make money. I'm doing the business to build a future, if that makes sense. So that's really exciting for me. So that is where the money from my business is going to go, is towards me paying to learn to be an instructor in the future.
Very cool.
There's no better investment in the world than investing in yourself. That is the absolute biggest thing. Anytime you can invest time or money into bettering yourself, that's an amazing thing. So Abby, that is really impressive. So
well,
cool.
That's the other bit. My app membership, I literally used my last money to pay for my app membership, but I meant that promise to myself that my health will be a priority. So the truth is, oh my goodness, my family has lived off of food banks and food clubs for a period of time, because we've been through some really hard times. And that kind of food, you tend to get trashy food. But when I'm making a choice about how we're going to spend money, I prioritize our health over everything else. And that has made a difference to my whole family. So I didn't mention that I'm a mum of 3. So I didn't mention.
I was
that.
going to touch on it, but you had kind of said that you try to keep a lot of that off. So I was going to let you talk.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah, I'm very private, very. But like, yeah, so it's made such a difference to my mentality. And it wasn't that, I've tried to be healthy, but now I'm always trying to find ways. And actually, it's really weird. Some of the food club that I belong to, they now know the health journey I'm on, and they've seen the difference in me. So if they see like vegetables going or something that would help our health or fruit, they purposefully try to alert us early so we can get in there and get the health.
That's very nice.
Stuff. Because the most thing that is given out is stuff like bread and cakes and cookies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not the best thing for me and my well-being.
Right.
So,
a majority of American food banks, it's all non-perishables, so it's canned goods and starches. I mean, that's about what you're going to do,
Yeah.
So
yeah, and if I had like, I don't know, if the universe deposited a load of money, I think that's where you can make the biggest differences with education. So I have a background of being a children and family support worker for a charity, Salvation Army actually. And so like a lot of those families had nothing. They would have sat in the dark over the weekend waiting to get help to get out of the hole they were in, to have heat and electric and whatever else they needed. So sometimes people would come to me for help with that because we had a fund for that. And then I would discover that they had no food and all of that, and try to get them to a place where their needs were met. So so that was my privilege and my journey. But like, it's amazing how many people you just wouldn't guess what they're going through, and how when you get on a road like that where it's crisis management, right, you don't think about your well-being as a mother. You always think about feeding your kids or where the next electric bill is going to be paid from. But ironically, of course, you can't keep working to pay the electric bill if you don't have what you need, those building blocks. And some of that, I honestly believe, is exercise. So if I got, the universe downloads loads of money or my business builds. Yeah, but I think that the whole picture of how people's lives would improve if you invested in them being able to do those sort of things, have access to things like we do, things that help, would make a big difference. And I know that my life's not recognizable now. I thought I was just trying to heal myself from COVID, and have ended up with just being able to do things. I would never have had the confidence to try and start a business, for goodness sake. I would never, ever have been on this program if it weren't for, and you can see, I've been working out before I came. That deals with anxiety really well. But like, I just think that it literally could change the world, and goodness, the world needs changing right now. One deep breath or exercise at a time, one healthy choice at a time. It needs changing. So so from that point of view, I can't see why I wouldn't try to be an instructor, because literally there are things that you guys have all taught me. I've had conversations, you're all very modest, but I've had conversations with you that have helped me to solve one little tiny part of my journey, and the next step and the next step. And there's been kindness shown towards me that I would never have expected. I love to be kind to other people, but it's very rare thing that I've experienced such kindness as I have within this community, within the instructors as well. And if I get to give some of that back to people, that is the ultimate level for me. So that's why I would want to be an instructor, is to support and encourage people on their health journey, because it's not about perfection, it's about growth and learning and changing, and that's a process. And I've seen a lot of get slim quick, get fit quick schemes fail in people's lives. They might get an instant result, pretty quick result, and then they don't hold off the weight. But with
easy
me,
come, easy go.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you roughly how many pounds I have said goodbye to. My clothes are too big, so I know that journey has continued and is continuing. but I'm not obsessed about that. I am not my weight. I'm not even my body. I'm more than that. But because I'm more than that, I value my journey in wellness and my weight and my body, because I want to be fitter for this world so that I can do more good in this world. And as corny as that sounds, it's contagious. My happiness, my little glow, it makes people ask questions. And my friends with lockdown, right? I didn't see many of my friends, and then I saw them because we came out of lockdown. We're back in lockdown now, but we came out of lockdown, and my friends were like, "What have you done?" They just couldn't believe it. And I had to wear I had to go into an environment where I had to wear a uniform the other day, and you could fit 2 of me, maybe even 3 of me in that uniform. And everybody else, their uniform has obviously got tighter with lockdown, and mine was just like baggy.
That's so cool.
Apparently, Naren told us that's something to do with banana bread. I'm not sure.
I believe it's cake.
Cake. Yeah, make sure you pick a British mentor because they're better.
This is true. Yeah,
much better.
Get a second opinion.
You guys count different there. Your measurements are different. You keep using pounds, and
she's gonna need an American. She's gonna need an American mentor. She hasn't mentioned stones at all. She's talking weight.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I actually purposefully haven't weighed myself in stones.
Because the app doesn't let you.
Pounds sound better.
That's true.
Yeah. I've just changed my scales. Honestly, I'm being assimilated. I'm surprised I haven't just drifted across the Atlantic, because literally my clock works around, and I'll tell you what, the daylight savings business, that really threw me completely. I was devastated by it. I didn't understand that we changed at a different time to America for some reason.
For one week?
Devastated for that whole week that everything was out of sync.
Yeah, that week Travis was sitting there on his own for an hour just looking confused in his room, echoing. It was weird.
So before we start wrapping this up and getting into Tom's segment here, I do want to ask you, and I've asked nearly everybody, and I didn't know you well enough to pull some kind of pop culture reference, so I'm just going to go with this, and if you don't know who it is, I'll explain it to you, and then you can answer. But who do you think would win in a fight, DDP or Joe Barrett?
I don't know who Joe Barrett. Barrett?
Yeah,
Barrett?
Joe Barrett. Joe Barrett is mostly known in this community as that shitty narrator from Positively Unstoppable.
Oh no!
Don't just think it, ink it.
20 extra bonus XP points for you, sir. Well done.
Well done. Deep dive.
You wouldn't need DTP
that was so
to win,
funny,
because we would take him out. That's the thing.
There you go.
Well done.
Nice.
I didn't know what to come up with, and so I'm just like, well, I know that you really like the book. So I was going to be super impressed if you were like, oh, Joe Barrett, the narrator, obviously, because at the end, it's like, this has been presented by Audible, read by Joe Barrett, written by Diamond Dallas Page.
Just it's such a disappointment, but you can understand why. I think it takes a long time for the authors to record those things, and obviously it involves reading a script, and I can't even imagine how stressful that would be for someone who's come on such a journey as DDP. And the other thing is, of course, it's very straining on your voice, isn't it? To make hours of recording.
Sure.
I'm sure you all have that problem. I'm sure you're doing vocal warm-ups and things before,
Well, there's so much there. You have to understand the author's intent and what they want to emphasize, and what might seem like a big deal to you is something that they would have had Dallas read it, he would have glossed over, or there's just all this there. That's why I truly really dig any kind of audiobooks where the author reads them themselves, but at the same time, sometimes those are terrible. If that author
one of the best in that is David Goggins. I don't know if you ever heard of David. Well,
Goggins. that was a really good hybrid. His audiobook is a hybrid. Yeah,
right. It was kind of like a podcast. It was kind of like a podcast, but what you got with David being there was you got the further. So like if a story ended in the book, David would go on about it, and you'd get another 10 or 15 minutes of that story. But
yeah,
that's
so basically his book Can't Hurt Me. He had the guy who helped him write the book, and I believe is his agent, read David's story because he's overly familiar with David and how that's approached. And then after the end of every chapter, they almost have like a therapy session where it's like a 10 to 15 minute talk about what just was talked about and what they're about to talk about. Or maybe they deep dive in a little bit further, or like as he started to reflect on something, he's like, maybe that wasn't necessarily my intent, but it's already in print, but here's kind of how I wanted it to be. And it just, it took like a 9-hour book. I think it's almost 15 hours after their talks.
You see, that would work perfectly with Dallas. That would work perfectly because
absolutely
his concern is like, so he's written the words fine, but if he has to reread them, he has to concentrate on reading it because of his dyslexia. His normal passion and the way he says those things, it's not going to come across. So for him, that I would love it if they did re-record it with that vein, just and say, right, here's the bit you've written. This is what we're going to talk about now. Just riff. Because we all love Dallas when he's just riffing. And I mean, to be honest, though, if you think about it,
36-hour book.
But a lot of the stuff he says, like when he starts talking, come on, how many of you can just join in with him? Yeah,
every time.
I was reading at a third grade level, and then I blow out my back, and you're like, you can the script because he's so well rehearsed, and he's so good at the elevator pitch and the dropping a promo on a dime, like. I would just love it if they redid that book. I'd listen to it a lot more. But the content, absolutely. No problem. Yeah.
So, guys, since we're talking about voices, can I have a question from 5-year-old Tom?
Yay!
5-year-old Tom's here.
Hey.
So, Abby, I think a lot of the response we're going to get from today's episode is how lovely your voice is. We were just talking about disgusting voices. We're going to talk about how lovely your voice is. 5-year-old Tom wants to know, will you read me a bedtime story?
I used to work in nurseries and forest schools, so I'm very accustomed to reading stories.
Tom, 5-year-old Tom will be so happy hearing that.
So here's what I need you to do, Abby, is I need you to pick a story and I need you to record it, and then we have to put it on YouTube.
No. I'm going to write it, and I'll ask you to just record the audio, and we'll put it in.
We'll play it next episode if you're willing to do it. We would love to feature it.
There you go.
That would be so much fun. That would
the
be
ultimate
so
team
much
player, Abi Evans. We love her. That's also good. Love it.
I will write that story.
Excellent.
So cool.
Okay, so we're going to get into Tom's nutrition segment here. Do you want to stick around? We didn't even really talk about you touched about, the food bank and stuff like that, but we didn't really talk about that. We're going to talk more about carbs, I think. So,
correct. Yeah, we're going to pick up where we left off last week.
Okay, so Abby's agreed to the torture of sticking around and listening to Tom go on again. I mean, it's time for Tom's nutrition segment. So I'm moving him center screen as ever. But as usual, we have a contributed title suggestion. I'm a little bit worried about this one because I've got to make it all fit in that little black box in the middle there, which might be a challenge. So
size 8.
Yeah. So this has come from our good friend of the show, Tina Aspard. Sorry, Gaspard. That's how Travis would have pronounced it.
Perfect.
That's amazing. We sure know how to beat a dead horse.
She is gonna love that.
We sure know how to beat a dead horse.
I'm glad there's a very large ocean between. Right. So the title for this week for Tom's nutrition segment is the part of the show where Tom says a lot of words and we stare blankly at the screen.
That is perfectly appropriate. Thank you, Tina. Now, last week's episode 100% was very much like that. So I reached out to you guys and we talked about, so we've covered protein, we've covered all the myths, we've covered fats, we've covered the myths. And then last week we introduced carbohydrates, and carbohydrates is probably the most controversial topic. I reached out to you guys and I said, what are some topics you guys wanted me to cover? What are some myths? And the biggest one that we came through was, do carbohydrates make you fat? So on this episode, we're going to talk about with science and logic, why that's a myth, or why, people even are concerned about that. And we'll kind of break down what the science has to say with it. We'll go through some of the scientific literature. It won't be as intensive as last week where I just had to introduce what a carbohydrate was so that we can understand what's going on with the rest of this. And we'll see just a a theme over and over, week after week. We're almost getting to the same sort of conclusion. So let's talk about, does carbohydrates make you fat? So where does this myth come from? So one of the most common charges against carbohydrates is insulin, right? So a lot of people feel that eating carbohydrates and insulin will increase your insulin levels to a chronically high level. And this in turn supposedly causes weight gain because your body will constantly be in what's called the fat storage mode, and it'll be rarely spending time in fat burning mode. So on paper, a lot of people believe this, but unfortunately, we're going to break this down from a scientific standpoint and see whether or not what part of that is true, what part of that is false. So if you guys don't know, insulin's a hormone, and what hormones are, they're substances in the body that produce effects of the organs and tissues, and insulin is made and released in the blood, and it's released from the pancreas into the blood. So insulin's job is a very important one. When you eat food, food is broken down in its basic nutrients. We've talked about this. Protein breaks down in amino acids. Dietary fats broke down into fatty acids, and carbohydrates is broken all down into glucose. And from there, it makes its way into the bloodstream. So these nutrients must first be moved from the blood into either muscle or fat cells for use or for storage. And that's where insulin comes into play. It helps shuttle these nutrients into the cells by telling the cells to open up and absorb them. So a lot of you guys have heard that insulin is the hormone of storage. So whenever you eat food, the pancreas releases insulin into the blood, and the nutrients are slowly absorbed into the cells. Insulin levels drop until all the nutrients are absorbed, and then insulin levels remain steady at a low, what we call a baseline level. So this cycle happens every time that we consume food. Amino acids, fatty acids, or glucose find their way into your blood. They're joined by additional insulin, which ushers them back into the cells. So once that job is done, insulin levels drop to what we consider a normal level, and the pancreas just waits again for us to eat food again to repeat this entire process. So in general, insulin is not good. Insulin is not bad. Insulin is just simply insulin. We simply need insulin to survive. There is not a way that our body can survive without having insulin present. So why is insulin so viciously attacked? Well, one of the major things is because insulin's vital roles in the body relates to fat storage. Insulin inhibits the breakdown of fat cells and stimulates the creation of body fat. So that is basically the insulin tells the body to stop burning fat stores and instead absorb some of the fatty acids and glucose into the blood and turn them into body fat, stored body fat. So this is where that oversimplification starts. So a lot of people will say high carb diet, high insulin levels, burn less fat, store more fat, body gets fatter and fatter and fatter. And then other people will say to the same effect, low carb diets, low insulin levels, you'll burn more fat and store less fat, and you'll stay lean for the rest of your life. So is there any sort of scientific merit to this? And honestly, that's just unfortunately just an oversimplified thought. So at first glance, these statements sound plausible. However, the scientific literature does not agree. Now, it's true that insulin causes fat cells to absorb fatty acids and glucose and thus expand. But that's not where you get fatter and fatter over time. What scientific literature continually shows is that getting fatter has only to do with one thing, and that's overconsumption of calories. So in quote, based on one of the meta-analysis written about the topic, it says fat stores cannot be increased without the provision of excess energy, nor can they be reduced without the restriction of energy. Meaning, if you're consuming too many calories, that's what's causing us to get heavier. If you're consuming less calories than you're burning on a course of a day, that's what causes us to get leaner. So I sent Boz a chart. We're going to put a chart up on the screen here, and it's going to show basically insulin's effect throughout the day as we eat meals and how it resolves to fat storage and fat being burned. So you'll see that the blue portions of the chart are the periods in your body when there's excess energy due to food being eaten. The gray portions are the periods where the body has no energy left from food and it must burn fat to stay alive. So if the blue and gray portions balance out every single day, that means that you store just as much fat as you burn, your weight stays exactly the same. If you store more fat than you burn, and that's only simply done by overeating, over time your body will continue to gain body fat. If you burn fat more than you store, your body will get leaner. Now, the fundamental mechanism behind underlying fat storage and fat loss takes precedent over anything related to insulin or other hormones in the body. So even though insulin causes the body to store fat, without the presence of over-consuming calories, your body will not get fatter. So that's why research, and we've shown in the first few weeks when we talked about what's the best diet, they've shown that between low carbohydrate diets and high fat diets, that they've seen that if they're all within the same calories, a low carbohydrate diet will not burn more fat than any other diet available. So bottom line is, insulin levels and the amount of carbohydrates you eat have absolutely little to do with losing or gaining weight. Energy balance is the key. So it's up to you guys. We've talked about this before. Carbohydrates are a non-essential macronutrient. You do not physically have to consume carbohydrates, but if you choose to do so, it's not going to make you fat. So the big key is, and we've talked about this multiple weeks, if you are consuming less or if you're consuming less calories, you'll be okay. Now, the problem is, and we're going to go into this maybe next week, we're going to talk about sugar. We're going to talk about overconsumption of carbohydrates. What are the health detriments? So we can eat a certain amount of carbohydrates within our caloric needs for the week and not have any sort of problems. But where we do see some health problems, diabetes type 1, diabetes type 2, insulin resistance, polycystic ovary disease, when we do overconsume carbohydrates, that can cause some health detriment. So we're going to go through that in the next future weeks. We're going to talk about sugar. We're going to talk about high fructose corn syrup. We're going to talk about what would happen if overconsumption. But all being said, if you're consuming carbohydrates, it will not inherently make you fat. So if anybody has any questions regarding that, we can open up the conversation. One of the problems with carbohydrates that people theorize is carbohydrates are very, very satiating foods, especially highly processed carbohydrates and sugars. We can tend to overconsume those calories. And one of the problems that we're having with a lot of the studies that they're showing is that consumption of carbohydrates and obesity levels, we're seeing that it's more correlation. Boz brought this up earlier in previous conversations, that correlation does not always mean causation. So one of the examples that Boz brought up was sometimes you'll pull up to a car accident, and every time you pull up to a car accident, you see an ambulance. Then we know ambulances do not cause car accidents. There's a lot of studies that show, yes, our obesity rates are getting higher and higher every single year. Yes, maybe our sugar intake is getting higher and higher every year, but the science does not show that that's the cause. So we're working on that every single year. That may change, right? Science may show something different, but as of right now, there really isn't anything inherently wrong with insulin. There isn't anything inherently wrong with carbohydrates. And we talked last week about there's different types of carbohydrates, right? The carbohydrates you consume from an apple is simply much, much different than the way they process high fructose corn syrup or things like that. So we'll go through that later on the episodes, but does anybody have any questions, or does I want to open that up for anything? I hope that wasn't too boring,
all those sugars have. No, absolutely not. All those sugars have been broken down. I mean, where you get like the glycemic index and the impact that they're going to have, and you can look those numbers up for a lot of that stuff, and see where it triggers and where their sugar alcohols will trigger what they are on that scale, and even your sugar alcohols all have a different GCI, and
for sure.
So and like you had said, is obesity being caused by sugar? And obviously that's something that you learn as you go through, but. Hell, in the first so many years of smoking, there was no correlation that caused cancer, and now we are certain. I honestly believe you are going to see that come forward. But also, a lot of this boils down to marketing. It's so much of this industry is marketing and being told what you believe, and that word healthy gets thrown around so much. I mean, how many people do you know thinking that they can drink a gallon of orange juice? Well, it's orange juice. It's healthy. It comes from an orange. No, man, sure. It's so much sugar. It is so much sugar. Sure. And so I think, in the end, it boils down to intake. I think no matter what you're doing, like you said, as long as the caloric intake is in the same levels, no matter whether you're on a Mediterranean diet, a keto diet, or anything else, you're gonna see very similar results. I just think when you start breaking down unnecessary carbs or unnecessary, even for instance, unnecessary fats, you start eliminating some of that calorie intake, which gets you on the right track.
How would you define unnecessary? What's the
like we had talked about? Instead of eating 2 sandwiches, you just make one big sandwich. Unnecessary. Okay. Like that's what I'm saying. If you're using bread as a delivery service to get peanut butter and jelly into your mouth, just eat more peanut butter and jelly on less bread. That's what I'm defining as unnecessary. Because let's be honest, that's what a lot of it is. Why would you need to eat 5 tacos? You could have ate 3. You could have saved yourself 2 tortillas. The traditional corn tortilla taco, they double wrap them. Why? Why would you use 2 corn shells there? You don't need to use 2 corn.
Fajitas now. It's one of my favorite dishes to do at home. Because we all went so low carb, we started using iceberg lettuce. And the same at Five Guys, actually. If you get a Five Guys burger in iceberg lettuce, I actually prefer it to the bread now. Like it's whether I'm on the diet
that's
or
what
not.
I mean by that's what I mean by unnecessary is unnecessary. If it's literally a way to shovel food into your mouth, figure out a way to lessen some of that calorie impact. And that's not just unnecessary carbs, that's unnecessary calories. That's kind of what I'm, I guess, implying.
That's why I was asking about that, which is cool. Because again, when it comes down to it, guys, it does honestly, if the calories are somewhat balanced, it really doesn't matter. We see all the studies. It really doesn't matter from a health benefit, from a weight loss benefit. But again, everybody's going to be individual, right? Some people will be able to tolerate some more than others when it comes to carbohydrates or fats. So it's just really, really being important. The big thing we're always talking about is being mindful. And Ryan, that's a great point. Being mindful of if you're going to eat those 2 sandwiches, you know, how many calories that's going to be. If I can take all of that and put it into 2 slices of bread, I'm saving 120 calories. I can maybe not use the mayonnaise, which is going to be another 200 calories. I have a person that I'm working with actually at work. She works with me and she goes to Chick-fil-A every single day and she's eating those chicken nuggets, the grilled chicken nuggets. Do you know how much Chick-fil-A sauce, how many calories is one of those?
Oh, yeah. It's 150 calories.
150 calories. So she eats 3 of those, right? And that doesn't seem like a lot, right? 3 of those little dips does not seem like a lot,
on a deficit, though. On a deficit, that's a third of your daily intake.
100%, right? So it's with these little sneaky things, right? So I think that's a great point, Ryan, is we just have to figure out, you know, the unnecessary calories. It's right. The stuff that we don't need. We need a certain amount of protein. We know that. We want that. We need a certain amount of fats. We know that. We want that. How are you going to fill the rest of your day? You know, apples are great choices. Bananas are great choices. You know, a potato is a good choice. There's all ways to do it, but how do you want to do it and make sure, you know, it's going to be your Chick-fil-A sauce or you're going to eat a salad that's the size of your face, you know? So I'll take the salad that's the size of my face, right? So
on topic with your graph that we showed though, and obviously this is the point I was making about the insulin side of things. And obviously we've mentioned the book, The Obesity Code. What that talks about a lot is you see that peak and that trough. You've got lunch, dinner, and then it drops off. The problem is the marketing in the food industry now, that blue is a flat line because there's the snacking between meals. That insulin drop-off's not happening. And that's that was my problem.
That's literally the marketing campaign for Snickers right now.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You're hangry. You're hungry, angry. Have a Snickers. Literally,
of course.
You're in the middle of the day and you're acting like an asshole. Eat a candy bar, man.
Who in the world would do that?
I'd be handing out candy bars all day.
Right. And then you have Taco Bell. Taco Bell's approaching it. They're literally calling themselves the 4th meal. They are referencing hey, because they're embracing that. Hey man, you just drank a shit ton of beer and you smoked a lot of weed and now you need some burritos. We're open. Don't eat your burritos. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. So much of it is it's marketing, and you get somebody without the proper knowledge or even and it's not somebody that I guess it's ignorance. It's just not knowing any better. They hear that 4th meal and they must be like, oh, okay, cool. That's what we do. Like that's I guess the thing, and so we should probably go. And it's such a shame. And I was the biggest sucker for that shit in the world, man. It just fell for it all day. And
breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Written by Kellogg's.
Is it though?
Do you want me to cover that one day as a myth?
Absolutely.
That's a good one. I think
we should break down marketing in the food industry in general. I think
we certainly could. We certainly could.
Abby, are you muted?
Yeah, I have been in case the alarm goes off.
Oh, fair enough.
This is something I have personal experience of and have read a lot of research on, is kind of the psychology behind what we eat and how addictive some foods are for some people and how that addiction is fed by advertising and media influences, even like Instagram or Facebook, people will show off that they've baked a cake or whatever it is that they've done, and that can trigger something in someone where, you know, it's like fear of missing out almost mentality, you know, and they don't even know it's happening to them. And they've discovered that when people sit and watch TV or movies where there's adverts with food in, commercials with food in, right, then that those people eat more popcorn than the people who don't. They've even discovered, for example, eating while you're doing something like watching a movie, so you're not being mindful and you're not alert to what you're doing. They did an experiment in England where they fed people stale popcorn, and it was safe but stale. And the people who ate it whilst watching the movie didn't even notice it was stale, and ate a third more than the people who ate it present-mindedly and went, oh no, this isn't very nice. And you can see them like looking at each other going, oh, this isn't good. But like, so the stuff people can feed you when you're not present in the moment, when you're not being mindful, is crazy. And people have this is from research I've read, some people have a greater propensity to addiction to certain types of food, like sugar and processed white food. So I read about an experiment where they fed mice, they forced mice to be addicted to cocaine, and then they offered them the choice between the cocaine or white powder and powdered sugar, and they chose the sugar over the cocaine.
I've ate both, and
that they were addicted to.
I find if you mix them together, no.
Yeah.
Top notch. Cloud nine. You know that post-workout glow you talk about? That's actually my post-workout drink.
How many slices of bread would that be?
Straight up cocaine.
Oh, right, that's what you get.
But in terms of the marketing, in terms of marketing strength, the most powerful example of that I have ever experienced myself is last year. I did a 5-day fast, just to try it out. I heard a thing about stem cells, and after 4 days, your body can start to generate more or something. It was a new research paper. I thought, well, I'll give it a go. How I'd know if it happened or not, I've got no idea. But the hardest points during that fast were driving around, and you'd be on the motorway and you'd see the golden arches above the services or the KFC logo. The power of that brand recognition on your brain when you're 4 or 5 days fasted. By that point, you're not hungry. You don't have any pain. Your stomach's not rumbling. There's none of that, but it's all up here. And the process starts, and it almost creates a hunger response. And all I had to do is pick up, drink water and crack on. But I was so conscious of it like never before. You are hardwired, especially if, like me, you spent years running around going from McDonald's to KFC, depending on whether it was breakfast or lunchtime, just ticking those boxes. Just terrifying, really. But there we are.
Absolutely.
There are so many factors that are overconsumption, right? So we always just think of just someone just can't stop eating, right? That's the smallest part. There are all these other factors. There's psychological factors. There's hormones in the body that some people have that cause them to feel like they need to eat more. There's all these different things. But what we've talked about now, this is now our 8th episode we're talking, it all boils down to overconsumption, right? When we have all these health problems, we have all these issues, it's not so much what we're putting. Certain things obviously are better than others to put in our body, but when it comes down to it, moderation is the absolute key. There's so many things that normally we can get away with as long as it's done in a moderate pace. And I think that's why we have to stop demonizing the idea that it's not really what we're doing. It's how much of the doing, or how much we're overdoing things.
How much of the doing you're doing.
How much of the doing we're doing, you know? So this has been, I've really enjoyed doing these things. So if you guys have any sort of other topics, #carb. Okay. I don't know what to say to that. But again, what I'll do for the next couple of weeks, we'll still cover carb stuff if you guys want to, if we have anything else. The big thing I wanted to talk about at some point was sugar, and the overconsumption of sugar. Because that's when we talk about the hierarchy. And I think I'm going to introduce this now. If you guys choose to eat carbs, which is okay, if you choose to do so. Hierarchy, if we're thinking about whole food choices, that's probably your best options, right? So we're talking about fruits, vegetables, legumes, very, very minimally processed greens. That's going to be your best choice within your own caloric range, right? Next best choice is kind of the, minimally to moderate processed carbs. And then the last thing, we talked about this with the fats too, the things we should avoid. We should probably try to avoid processed sugars. There's a lot of research that shows it's not the best thing for our body. We can handle a certain amount of it, but the problem is it's too easy to overindulge. So we talked about only 2 things I'm going to tell you guys to probably try to stay away from. Trans fats is the big one. There's too much research that shows it's so detrimental to our health. And if we can try to avoid processed sugar, it's probably a better choice. All the rest of the things within your own caloric range, you'll probably be okay. And you'll probably live a healthy life.
Is it worth bringing in also, I know it gets bandied around a lot and I've never really known the full significance, but the glycemic index thing. There's a lot of people put a lot of stock in that.
Such a slippery slope because we're never consuming just one macronutrient at the same time, right? So if we think about what is the glycemic index of a white piece of bread, right? We eat that and that goes on a scale. We're never just eating that. We're eating with other foods. If you're eating with proteins and fats, it totally changes things, right?
And you don't know where your body is in the process of breaking other stuff you've already consumed down. And
most of the time we're always digesting something, right? We're always processing something. So it's a slippery slope with the glycemic index. The other thing is there's so many things that are surprising about that. There's the glycemic index. There's the insulin index too, right? Do you know what spikes your insulin just as much as carbohydrates? Protein. Nobody talks about that. Anybody that demonizes carbohydrates, whenever you bring that topic up, they shut the fuck up immediately because it's true.
I don't. Hashtag carbs.
God bless you, pal. But no, there's so many different things that there's a lot out there, and it's so confusing. So the biggest thing is if you can just consume whole food sources, you're gonna probably be fine. Whole food sources within reasonable moderation, you'll probably be fine. But glycemic index is a great topic. We can certainly bring that up at some point. For sure. Cool. For sure.
Awesome. So that brings us to the end of the part of the show where Tom says a lot of words and we stare blankly at the screen. Thank you for the name, Tina. That's amazing. So that just remains for us to say a massive thank you to Abi for joining us. This has been an absolute blast. You have been, I have to say, what Tom said about your smiling face, it's been like a ray of light shining at me through this whole show. And it's so much nicer than these ugly fuckers. So, thank you so much.
We love you too, buddy.
He's not wrong.
Right in the middle of Tom's nutrition segment, he's just going to cut to your smile because it got off the rails there for a while. I don't know what I was looking at.
It was just too much on the screen all at once. I don't mean that at all. But thank you so much. It's been a genuine joy to have you on and to get to know you, really. Yes. Do you have anything you'd like to sort of plug on the show? We always give it because people who are instructors or whatever. We're not quite there yet, are we? So is there anything you want to plug, promote? Here's your space.
I'd say consider every aspect of your health. Like in my case, obviously, I found essential oils have helped me with aching muscles and different aspects of supporting my health and well-being. But find ways to hack your well-being, hack your nutrition, use amazing knowledge that blinds us and makes my mind boggle. But you can get from people like Tom, and I know, Travis, you're training, aren't you, in nutrition as well? Like, find wisdom that helps you, find what works for you. And and if any of you are interested in essential oils, then come and talk to me about it. I'll give you unbiased information, evidence-based information, and that like use the best stuff though. It's like nutrition. If you're going to use stuff, exercise, essential oils, use the best. As far as I'm concerned, this is the place to get the best for exercise. And as far as I'm concerned, not everything is created equal. So use the best.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Cheers.
And just like always, guys, if you want to reach out to us, shoot us an email at Hit The Mat, or so you can reach us at hitthematpodcast@gmail.com. I do want to put a quick little asterisk there. We've had a few people reach out to us for some individualized nutrition information, generally almost always pointed at Tom. And that's just something that we can't necessarily offer. We try to keep our stuff as broad as possible. There's just so many factors in there when it comes to your well-being and especially your intake. And, Tom does have his services readily available. He plugs the shit out of it every time. So you can definitely, reach him there. But if it's a broad question, great. If there was something you'd like to see us cover, great. But we can't develop a meal plan for you because
you can ask me.
I could. It's just going to say eat a salad, eat a salad, eat a salad.
Eat a salad
yeah.
and 4 Guinness.
4 Guinness, 1 salad. That's all you need.
There you go.
And as always, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on YouTube. That way, when we drop new content. We're going to have a nice, cool story coming up. Maybe we can just have a monthly fitness story with Abby. Who knows? All kinds of neat stuff we could get going. Also, if you listen to us on podcast app like Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Podbean, CastBox, all your favorite podcast apps, be sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, a like, a comment. All that stuff helps us move up into the rankings, and it's greatly appreciated. If you want to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram, we're at Hit the Mat Podcast. If you want to follow Boz, you can.
Hey, I gotta do that thing again I did because I forgot, because I use this interface to teach my classes, so I've just got the overlay ready. Back on Track Living, putting bodies back together, featuring DDPY. There's the website in the corner. Sorry, I can't do that for all of you, just me. We have a Patreon page. We're using it as our delivery system for our subscribed classes. You pay a monthly fee. You can either get Monday and Wednesday and Saturday class, or just the individual days, whichever works for you. And we do the occasional pop-up class, and keep an eye on that. And I will be offering gravity yoga classes soon. So there we are.
Excellent.
Love it.
And Travis?
All right. You can reach me at The Real Shamrock Fitness on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm at Shamrock Fitness, a DDP yoga experience. Also, you can reach me at transitioncoach.ca, and that's where I will be teaching 8 classes a week along with my partner, Dr. Marcel Dore. His 7 classes will get you 15 classes a week, as well as we're plugging, right? Reach out to me if you're interested. I can get you a link for a 7-day free trial.
And Tom.
And to you, Tom.
Did you say anything about Shamrock Fitness?
Yes, Shamrock Fitness. Lift that shirt one more time. If you want to reach Tom, send me a message through Shamrock Fitness.
Yay!
We've got 2 Shamrock Fitnesses. This is the theme of Facebook these days.
Hey, do you know, I'm going to shout out Wayne Poppleton's classes because he doesn't get enough love these days.
Ooh.
He did these amazing t-shirts. I had to have one of these, and I'm going to spin the back. Can you see? Instead of hit first, strike hard. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Pull your shirt up so we can see your tattoo.
Did you get the hand tattoo yet?
Nah, not yet. No. It's a lockdown, dude. I can't get a tattoo. Can't even get a haircut. Look at it.
Go ahead, Tom.
So Boz had a problem with me saying www. I forgot I was saying that. You can find me at Be Unstoppable Athletics.
Actually, it was Lavinia. Yes. She said, he still says www. I went, oh, yeah, thanks. I'm going to troll him for that.
http:// That's you can find my coaching services. I'm on Facebook at Be Unstoppable Athletics, and I'm also at Project Mayhem on Facebook. That's where we do our Zoom style classes. Sarah and I are doing a squat challenge starting by the time this actually drops. We're going to be starting a squat challenge. So if anybody wants to get in on some squats,
Right.
we can do that. We're going to start off, and it's going to be pretty cool. A lot of people are doing like plank challenges these days because of Thanksgiving. So we wanted to do something on the lower half. So little plank challenge. So if you guys want to get in on a squat challenge, get in with us at Project Mayhem.
And as always, you guys can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Burn the Boats Fitness. I also recently posted 323 different listings on eBay of my mid-90s Beanie Baby collection. Looking to make big money here, so feel free to bid. Most of them are going for 3 to 4 figures each, but they're really, really rare, and I think you should all buy them.
Do you got that Princess Di? Because I'm looking for
I
one.
have 3 of them. 2 are bootleg.
Mason's going to college.
That's right.
I'm so confused right now.
That's a good, I didn't think that you would know that.
So
Weird.
on that really rather random note, we're just going to say, Abby, thank you one more time. Please grab your glass. And as ever, we will sign off by saying cheers. And hit the mat.
Hit the mat.
Hit the mat.
Hit the mat.
Definitely hit the mat.
Better Hit The Mat podcast.
That's a beautiful shirt you're wearing.
Is it?
Thanks. I got it last year.
It makes me look extra swole because it's
It
like
sure
two
does.
sizes too small. I think you sent me a woman's.
That's
One of the-
that's kind of that's what you know. Oh, that was just panties, not shirts. Oh, my bad.
I've got those on too.
And they make you look extra swole.
They do. They do.
So, but they also send you an audio clip from your assessor. Sorry, you could be noisy with that paper if you like, Travis.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Fuck me.
Get the super mic over there.
Piling to take care of.
Super mic.
Just, let me just sort these out. Sorry, dude. It was so loud.
He's gonna roll some
I'll be-
pennies later.
I'll be in the corners. Sorry.
Rolling
Okay.
pennies.
You're good?
Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. You're the professionals at this. I'm just an amateur.
Oh, if you're depending on us to be professionals, this is going to be a really, really.
we're gonna
rough
edit that
one.
out because we're not.
I have
Ooh.
every faith in you.
Don't just think it, ink it.
Started to connect with that. Sorry, I've got a fire alarm problem. Just hold on one second.
You gave us a warning.
Hold on a second. Right, hold on.
We can just say that's an edit for Boz. That's all.
So,
I was gonna ask you what it's like to live in the purge. I was like, oh.
yeah.
And speaking of the book as
Hold on,
well.
Travis.
speaking of
Hold
it
on.
being-
Hang on, Trav.
Sorry.
Let it finish. Sorry. I can't edit that out.
Go ahead, Trav.
That's
Go.
it.
Oh,
No.
me now.
Don't be doing that. I will send you the
little
files,
bastard.
and you're editing this
That was
week.
good. That was really good.
And it stopped.
we
So
go.
this is the point where people claim that, you know, this program's so important that people carry on talking when the house is on fire, isn't it? So,
Come on, man.
See, it looks so slick, doesn't it, Abby? And then you come on and you see what a shit show is behind the scenes.
I have to show you off for a second, guys. She's the first person I turned down as a client. I was like, you got your shit together. What do you need me for? It's the first time, I swear. It's the first time.
Now, which one is the Gmail?
Hey, and I don't want to hear any more shit about my paper because every time both of you two motherfuckers took a drink, I heard it every fucking time. But Tom and Ryan, yes, Jingle Brothers, you fucking.
I don't have ice, my dude.
I know.
Yeah,
I heard
that's
you gulping. Your shit was like clunk 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 clunk.
You had your epiglottis.
Because I'm a
Basically, I don't give a
fucking man.
fuck. Just don't fucking give me shit about my paper, motherfucker.
You
When you
just did
hear
that.
it,
It looked like
you'll
all your
see
lights
exactly
blue.
why.
Don't just think it, ink it.
I got to get Heather on that train. She could take pictures of me with my
Oh,
little.
nice. You wouldn't reverse it. Way to go.
Well, I'm pretty sure you already have. What?
Don't just ink it, ink it.